you've clicked on this video, you probably are in the market for your first credit card. That's why today I want to help you with what I think are the best beginner credit cards as we head into 2025 that best set you up for success down the line. And just so we're clear, these are true beginner credit cards that are great for people with no credit history. I know when I was first looking at credit cards, I found tons of videos and things online about beginner credit cards that ended up needing a year plus of credit history. To avoid that, we will strictly talk about cards that don't require credit history. Now, after taking a deep dive into the credit card space, I can't emphasize enough how important it is to start out on the right foot with your first beginner credit card, because choosing the wrong one might cause you to be denied or miss out on other credit cards further down the road. I also think it's important to start out with the right card so that you can learn the basics of credit cards that can help you to earn free flights and hotels down the line. If you jump in the deep end right away, you might feel suffocated by some of the complexities of credit cards that will put you off of using them in the future, which is unfortunate because when used correctly, they can provide tons of added value at no cost to you. Now, real quick, before we jump in, let's go over the number one credit card rule, which is that you must always pay off your credit card balance on time and in full every month. Otherwise, they are doing you more bad than good. You will pay exorbitant interest rates that negate any rewards you can earn from the card, not to mention that it could hurt your credit score, which also could cost you money in the long run. If you can't limit your spending to what you can pay off in full every month, then you're not a credit card person, and that's alright. But for those people who can do this, credit cards open up great financial benefits. With that, the first credit card I'm going to recommend is the Discover It Secured Credit Card. For starters, this card does not require a credit score before applying, which is somewhat unique as there aren't tons of options out there like this. And the reason Discover offers this is because of the way secured credit cards work. In order to open an account, you have to put in a refundable deposit of at least $200, and Discover will give you a credit limit equal to your deposit. Discover does this as a way of protecting themselves. In the case that you don't pay your balance off, they can cover themselves with your deposit. But again, if you are getting a credit card, make sure you are always paying off the balance and you won't have to worry about losing your deposit. The good part about this card, unlike some other secured credit cards, is that you can eventually graduate your secured credit card into a regular unsecured credit card after 6 consecutive on-time payments and 6 months of good credit across all other accounts. This is huge because you will get your deposit back and you can use the card as a normal credit card from there on. The second great thing about this card is that it has no annual fee, which when you are choosing your first credit card, I think is super important to choose one with no annual fee because this is a card you are going to want to keep open forever. The reason being is that part of your credit score is made up of the length of your credit history. If you chose a high annual fee credit card and later on down the road you can't afford the annual fee, you might want to go and cancel it, but that would negatively impact your score since it's your oldest credit account, which we do not want. I hope that makes sense. The card boasts 2% cash back on gas station and restaurant purchases up to $1,000 each quarter, and it earns 1% cash back on everything else. This alone is great because you're getting some rewards, but a great perk of choosing this card is that at the end of your first year, Discover will give you a dollar for dollar match on all the rewards you earn. That means if you earn $250 of cash back, Discover will give you another $250 at the end of the first year, which is pretty great compared to the other options out there. Now moving on, let's talk about my second recommendation, which is specifically available to students, which is the Discover It Student Chrome. This card is almost identical to the Discover It Secured Credit Card, as it has no annual fee, no credit score required to apply, and has the same exact reward earning structure of 2% back on gas in restaurants and 1% back on everything else. The only difference being that this is not a secured credit card, which means you don't have to put down any deposit to open up this card. Based on the various factors you put into your application, like income, employment status, etc., Discover will provide you with a credit limit that they see as appropriate. This alone makes it better in my eyes than the Discover It Secured card and would be my number one recommendation, but the only downside is that you have to be a student. Now, if you are a student and want something slightly different, Discover also offers their Discover It Student Cashback Card. Again, this is the same as the previous card. It has no annual fee, no credit required to apply, and is available to students. The only difference is the card's rewards earning structure. Instead of 2% cash back on gas and restaurants, you will earn 5% cash back on rotating quarterly categories. Each quarter, Discover will announce what rewards will be elevated, and there's no certainty of what they will be, but here are the categories they offered this year, which may or may not be similar to what will be in the categories in 2025. If you're trying to decide between this card and the Student Chrome, I think you just need to analyze your spending habits and figure out if you think you would get more value from a guaranteed 2% back on groceries and restaurants all year, or 5% rotating quarterly categories. For my first credit card, I went with the Discover It Student Chrome, simply because at the time I wasn't spending a lot across all categories, and my spending habits were more concentrated in gas and restaurants. However, I think both are great options, you just have to figure out which one is right for you. Okay, so what if you don't want a Discover credit card? I think there are still a few other great options out there, with the next card being the Chase Freedom Rise credit card. This is Chase's entry-level credit card, which they specifically say is best for those who are new to credit or are students. Now, something to keep in mind is that this card might not be as easy to get as a secured credit card, but Chase's website claims that having a Chase checking or savings account with at least $250 in it will increase your odds of getting approved. Now, I'm not sure I would recommend everybody go out there to open up a bank account with Chase, considering I think there are tons of better options out there like high yield savings accounts, but if you already bank with Chase, this might be a great place to start. Like all other great beginner credit cards, this card has a $0 annual fee, and on top of this, you will earn 1.5% cash back on all purchases, and Chase will even give you a $25 bonus just for signing up for automatic payments. I think this is a good idea regardless, since it helps you to make sure you never miss out on a payment. Personally, on its own, I do not think this is as good as a reward offer as Discover, since you earn minimum 2% back on every purchase in your first year with their cards, but thinking about credit card strategy down the road, it might actually be better. Now, why is that? The reason is that this credit card earns its cash back in the form of Ultimate Rewards points. Ultimate Reward points are the same points that Chase's other credit cards offer, which later on can be used for booking travel in the Chase portal, or when combined with other Chase cards like the Sapphire Preferred, transferred out to transfer partners, which dramatically increases the value of your points. I think that Chase Ultimate Rewards is the best rewards program out there due to their transfer partners, so if you are planning on getting into travel credit cards down the line, this is a great place to start since you will get a head start on earning Ultimate Rewards points. Moving on to our next card, we have the US Bank Altitude Go Secured Visa Card. This again is a secured credit card issued by US Bank that, like all the other options on this list, has a $0 annual fee. It functions in a very similar way to the Discover Is secured credit card, in that you have to put down a refundable deposit between $3,000 and $5,000, and you will get a credit limit equal to that deposit. This card earns great cash back rewards with 4x points on dining, 2x on gas and groceries, and 2x on streaming services, and 1 point on everything else. In the long term, this is actually a more powerful reward structure than the secured card from Discover. However, in the first year, Discover matches your cash back, whereas US Bank does not. And just as the Discover option allowed you to graduate to an unsecured card, if you're consistently paying off your statement on time and in full, the Altitude Go Secured Visa Card can be upgraded to an unsecured version. And when you are upgraded, your deposit will be refunded. Overall, I think this is a great cashback option that can be powerful as a first credit card. Hopefully, you found these recommendations and insight useful as you look to get your first credit card. And if you liked this video, you might also enjoy this one over here. And with that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.